Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Karen. I'm a lefty who loves fountain pens, writing, journaling, hobonichi, and all of that good stuff. So if you like that vibe, hope you can subscribe. So in today's video, this is totally unexpected and I will share with you my thoughts on this one. So if you have been using fountain pens for a long time, there are risks to having the pen contaminated, such as molds. And this pen right here is an example of what not to do when using fountain pens. So this is a Ningbo demonstrator. So it's just your Chinese cheap fountain pen. Cheap doesn't mean bad quality. Some of the Chinese fountain pens are really good. Quality is really great, like your Jin House and your Wing Sung. This one is relatively cheap. It's like 150 pesos. And the reason why I got this pen is because sometimes I want to be adventurous, try new inks, sometimes shimmer inks. And what happened here is that maybe if you can see it against the screen of my laptop, there, you see that? You see that chunk there sticking out in the barrel? That is mold. You will get mold growth if you leave your ink inside the barrel of your pen for a long time. And molds can cause health concerns. So if you are, sensitive to molds, you can get really sick just by inhaling them. So, okay, backstory for this one. Upon checking my ink diary, and I have it here, I had inked this pen last March 8th. So it's almost 1 year that I have this ink here inside the pen. And this is a no-no. If you're starting to collect fountain pens, you must make sure that you clean your pens every single time. If you are not going to use the pen for a long time, make sure that you flush the ink, you thoroughly clean the pen, and you dry the pen. So the most important step is to dry the pen before storing it so that you won't have any mold growing on the nib, in the barrel, in your fountain pen. So this was a fatal mistake for me. And while I'm thankful that it happened to a cheap pen, this is something that I'll probably throw this out after the video. But if this happened to something of more value like a Twisby or even, God forbid, a Mont Blanc, you may need to do some proper cleaning and sanitizing so that it doesn't happen. What happens if you don't properly sanitize or disinfect your pens? The molds can stick to the nib of the pen. And you know what happens, right? If you need to refill your pen, you will have to dip the nib in the bottle and thereby contaminating the bottle. And then if you dip this in other bottles, then you're basically just spreading the molds around. And while molds are easy to clean off, you just need an ammonia solution. It's also really easy for them to spread around. So that's why I have my computer monitor here so that you can see against the light. Ooh, those chunks and clumps of molds that are growing in the barrel. And this is why I precisely love demonstrator pens. You can easily see what's happening inside the pen. And there's no need for you to risk contaminating other bottles, or even by placing this inside your pen case, you can also transfer, or contaminate the pens beside it. So thankfully, it hasn't spread to my other pens. You can also see some molds growing here at the cap. So this is what the nib looks like, and let's see if I can zoom you in a bit on this one, and you see that gunk. Wow, this is some crazy stuff. There. Oh my gosh. The hairs on my arms are standing just looking at it. And yeah, I'm. Whew, okay, let me just. Ugh, this is so gruesome to watch. The horror of this happening. Why did I leave the ink inside? Um, First of all, this ink, I don't have this with me anymore, and maybe I'm trying to preserve some of it, which is a bad thing. This has the Rohrer und Klinger Salix. It's iron gall. So it's like one of your archival inks. And I don't have this anymore in my collection. I just sold it off because I really wasn't using it. And since I had a full barrel at that time, I decided not to clean it, which was a bad move. So I'm not gonna try to salvage this. Is really bad, and I may not do a good job of cleaning entirely the pen. So yeah, you can really see. And it's almost a year that it's in here, so I really don't know why I didn't notice it. Um, so what are the ways that you can prevent mold from growing in your pens or even inks? Okay, I'll give you a few tips. First is when you clean your pens or you flush your pens, make sure that it is completely dry before you store it. So the best way to make sure that it's dry is that in the barrel or in the nib, you turn it upside down and you put some tissue uh, underneath the nib, I mean touching the nib, so that it can absorb most, if not all, of the water inside. And you can also use the bulb syringe. So without any water, just squeeze it a few times. You let the air, pass through the barrel and the entire pen so that it's totally clean. The second one is to make sure that you regularly check your inks. So molds grow in damp and in high moisture areas, and that includes even your inks. So from time to time, open your bottles, see if there are any clumps, lumps, and there's also that smell. So if it doesn't smell right, it smells a bit funky, then you might have some mold growth and there's no way to save your ink. So just throw it out unless you want to risk contaminating all of the pens that will be dipping in that ink. It's cheaper to buy another ink than buying a new pen altogether. The next tip that I have for you guys is that when you are buying used inks in the marketplace or, pre-loved or secondhand, you can ask your seller how they store their inks. It should be in a dry place. If the place where they live has high humidity, they should have those silica packs and desiccants, just to make sure that there's no moisture. When in doubt, throw it out. Okay, and maybe the last tip that I will give you guys is to regularly check the condition of your pens. Sometimes it's in the storage of pens that can, be a good environment for the molds to grow. So if it's in a damp environment, it's always closed up and you don't have any desiccants or silica packs, then you might have a good environment for the molds to grow. So anyway, those are just some of the things that I would highly suggest if, let's say, you want to have your pen cleaned, I'm not really sure. I have no plans on cleaning my demonstrator pen. You can Google tips on how to thoroughly clean and disinfect your pens without, damaging the nib or the material of the pen, especially if it's sensitive, like it's made from lacquer or ebonite and all of that. So, um, you can always go to your nibsmith or your nibmeisters and have it cleaned and serviced. Yeah, that is it, you guys. Those are the tips that I can share with you guys. This is the first time that I've had mold growth. But then again, I've only been collecting fountain pens for a little over 2 years now. So I will be more careful in the future. I will be more mindful of the inks that I have. And this is the reason why you shouldn't have too many pens inked at once if you're not gonna, use them all. So yeah, if you have any comments, if you have your own horror stories about molds and other growth in your pens or in your inks, hope you can share it so that we can also learn from one another. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys!